Hey everyone, it actually turned out to be a halfway decent day today. As you can see, I'm working on the roper. I figure I'm going to try and get this engine mounted, or at least get all the holes ready to put this engine in. I don't really want to put the engine in until I get the starter done. I'm just trying to determine if it's this starter. It's a 14 tooth. These are more commonly on larger engines and some of the newer Briggs engines, the 17 horse overhead valve, or if it's the 16 tooth. As you can see, it needs a new Bendix gear. That's not a big deal. The hardest part is getting this little roll pin out to change the Bendix gear. But I'm pretty sure it's 16 tooth. But there's enough teeth on there. I can put it up there in place, and I can see if it's lining up with the actual flywheel on this engine. I got this engine to pop over a little bit last night. It was not mounted to anything, so these engines have a lot of compression. They have a lot of kickback, and when they're not mounted to anything and you're trying to spray carb cleaner in there, you're trying to hold it with your foot and you're trying to pull it over all at the same time, it does get kind of difficult. So I was able to dribble a little bit of gas down the spark plug hole. Initially I was not getting spark, but I'm pretty sure it was the plug I was using. So I was able to get it to fire, which is pretty good. And it seems like it has halfway decent compression. This is not the original head. I ended up using a different head. The one had quite a bit of corrosion. It had quite a bit of crap up in this area here in the fins. Yes, I could have cleaned it, but I had another one sitting on hand that was identical. Actually, I had two of them. One had longer standoffs right here, before a much larger shroud engine. So I ended up going with this one right here. It's absolutely identical. New head gasket, and I actually found two other head gaskets that I had in my hoard that are actually in halfway decent shape. So I got a couple extra head gaskets sitting around. If I truly need them, I can use a used head gasket. But this engine still has all the pulleys and everything on it. I just gotta find a bolt to go in the end of the crankshaft. This is the existing fuel line, which is actually a new fuel line. This is going to have to connect up to a fuel pump. But I'm thinking I'm going to run it off of the vacuum on the dipstick or the valve cover. I haven't had any comments saying which is the better idea. Dipstick's kind of small on this, unless there's a spot on here that has a plug in it where I can put a fitting in to get vacuum. I'll run it there, so we'll see. I'll decide where I'm going to pull the vacuum from to run the fuel pump. So like I said before, when I first started working on this, I don't want to run an electric. So if this thing doesn't have to have a battery, it's not going to have a battery. I want the dual start options, and really whoever buys it, so if they want to run a battery, they can run a battery. If they don't want to run a battery, they don't have to. But so it's not being sold with a battery unless I come across one between now and the time I get it finished. So that's what I'm up to, just trying to figure out the starter. If anyone has any interesting tips, if I can't get this off today before I upload this video, on how to get these Bendix gears off. It has the little roll pin. I have been soaking it with PB Blaster, try and loosen it up. Also, I got to test this starter, make sure it is good. I'm pretty sure it is good. And go from there and get a Bendix gear Monday or Tuesday for it. They're only like $5 or $10, so it's not too bad. But there's where I'm at on this right now. If I make any major significant progress, or if I get it in and get it ready to run, I will definitely do another video. I'll talk to them later. Please keep it redneck like always, and please share and comment.